Good evening and welcome. The National Assembly resumed its session today with responses to the State of the Nation address delivered last week by the head of state, Dr. Patrick Emini. The first speaker this morning was opposition leader Bernard Georges. He said the president's address comes at a particularly significant time as the country prepares to celebrate the 50th anniversary of its independence. However, he argued that the nation remains deeply divided. He also claimed that President Emini is reversing the progress achieved during the administration of former President Wavel Ramkalawan. Mr. Georges further lamented that the new administration is not promoting unity, alleging that competent officials are being replaced by political supporters. Responding on behalf of the government, leader of government business, Sylvain Lemiel, stated that President Emini delivered a hopeful State of the Nation address, one in which everyone has a place. She added that many Seychellois consider it to be the best State of the Nation address ever delivered. She said the head of state clearly outlined the path the country must follow. She also reviewed the country's economic situation, describing it as stable. Mrs. Lumiere noted that prior to 2020, the economy was highly productive, just as it is today. The chairperson of the Assumption Biodiversity Assessment Task Force said work hasn't resumed on the hotel development project on the island and noted that the prohibition and stop notice served late last year is still in force and is being monitored closely. The minister responsible for environment, Marie-Mé Jérémy, is the chairperson of the task force. She met with the media yesterday to give an update on the actual status of the project and work that the task force has done since it was established on the 31st of last December. The task force comprised of representatives from different entities that have the mandate and can take key decisions regarding the project, which is being promoted by Qatari developers. Minister Jérémy said that they have met with the developers to ensure that the concerns raised regarding the project's impact on the island's environment is being redressed before the temporary ban can be reconsidered. She has noted, however, that the final decision of the government will also consider the result of the Commission of Inquiry, which is covering all aspects of the hotel development project on Assumption.
One of the roles, of course, of the task force is to make sure that there is a more comprehensive and coherent decision-making process from the side of government, and that is communicated to the developer in a unified way to limit the confusion, to create more transparency and reduce the risk of collusion. As you can ascertain, each of the members of the task force, they have their own legal mandates, their own statutory mandates, and the role of the task force is not to impinge on any of those, but just to make sure that the decisions that are being communicated from the different entities are in alignment to how we're proceeding, and it's not going contrary to the provisions of the Environmental Protection Act and other legislation that guides the work of those members. So to date, the task force have met with the developers, and the developers have made a number of commitments, which includes the financing for the biodiversity assessment, which will be for a minimum of 1 year. Biosecurity measures, including infrastructure on the island to allow for the full biosecurity management plan to be implemented. They have also now committed to eradication of invasive species, inclusive of rat, cat, and mice, which will be run in parallel to the same process that is happening on Aldebra. And this is going to be very important because it will include restoration work, which will hopefully also allow for future protection status for the remainder of Assumption Island. the final decisions on the full scale and extent of the development will be made once the biodiversity assessment or the preliminary results of the biodiversity assessments are finalized, and also will give due consideration to the recommendations and outcomes of the Commission of Inquiry.
The l'Union Démocratique Sicilioise Party has approved a few amendments to its constitution. This was during its convention held at the ICCS yesterday afternoon under the theme LDS L'Espoir Peuple Siciliois, in English LDS Hope of the People of Seychelles. One of the amendments stipulates that the age to register as a party member is 18 years old and not 16 as was previously the case. There will be more members on the executive committee, and 4 movements will be set up to ensure that the work of the party reaches the wider community. Party leader, former President Wevel Ramkalawan, has called on the youths affiliated to the party to be more determined in their work for the country. Avani Plus Hotel has officially adopted the wetland situated just before the entrance to its Babaron Hotel. The initiative forms part of the celebration of Wetland Day, during which the hotel signed a memorandum of understanding with the Ministry of Environment, Climate, Energy and Natural Resources, demonstrating the private sector's commitment to environmental protection, particularly the preservation of marshes. Avani Plus Hotels Cluster Security, Health and Safety Manager Barom Ibragimov signed the memorandum on behalf of the hotel. The agreement was signed on behalf of the ministry by Principal Secretary Nanette Law.
Seychelles continue to take concrete and meaningful steps to sustain and protect our wetlands. Today, our efforts to address the impacts facing wetlands are being advanced through the ecosystem-based adaptation as well as nature-based solutions. Recognizing wetlands as natural allies in responding to climate change, these efforts are supported by strengthened legal policy frameworks. I am happy to note that the new wetlands policy will soon be presented to the Cabinet of Ministers for approval. This again shows our ongoing efforts in ensuring that our wetlands are protected for the generations to come.
I wish to acknowledge invaluable contribution of Seychelles government, representative partner organization, NGOs, and community stakeholders, whose dedication has brought us to this moment. Special thanks also goes to the team who worked diligently behind the scene, preparing the groundwork for the collaboration. This MOU is not merely a document, it is a pledge of shared responsibilities together. We will protect the biodiversity, strengthen resilience, and ensure that our wetlands continue to thrive for the generation to come.
We've come to the end of this news summary. Thank you for your attention, and I will be back with more news in Creole at 8 p.m. So stay tuned.